Hello, everyone. Given all the changes that we've made to the program this year, the officers and I wanted to extend as many resources to you as possible to help you both understand the new changes and to make the most of them for the upcoming conference. One such change is the new committee structure, and many of you received your first exposure to this structure at pre-ledge through both explanation and simulation. The officers and I have created the following video to provide a third resource for you to reference in the final weeks before conference. I hope you find this video helpful and that it answers all of your questions. I look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. Thank you.
Delegates, welcome to the Livingston Regulation Committee. My name is Tomo Demarayes. I'm a senior at St. Benedict's Prep in Newark. I will serve as your committee chair for this conference. I'd like to call the committee to order. At this time, we will commence debate with the first bucket composed of bills number 1, 2, 3, and 4. The authors of the bill are already present. We'll begin with bill number 1.
Bill number 1. Be it enacted by the Youth Model Legislature of the State of New Jersey that a government program be initiated through which private businesses and firms can invest in the development of private green energy business in exchange for tax and energy credits. All of you are recognized for your opening statement.
Cranford High School delegation, thank you, Sir Chair. When I was writing this bill, I tried to think of the three problems that were confronting New Jersey: soaring energy costs, an overburden of taxes on our New Jersey businesses, and a lack of concern for our environment. And so in writing this bill, I tried to address all three of these problems. The manner in which I chose to do that is by creating a program in which New Jersey businesses can purchase energy credits, for which they will receive tax credits equal to the amount that they invest in these companies.
Thank you, author. We will now move on to a period of non-debatable questions on bill number 1. Are there any questions on the floor at this time? Chair recognizes delegate.
Danielle Sumner, North Hunterdon delegation. Thank you, Sir Chair. In section 4, when you refer to the figure 75%, exactly what is that referring to?
75% refers to the amount of electricity that renewable energy businesses create, which is in terms of kilowatt hours, which is how electricity is actually measured.
Are there any other non-debatable questions on the floor at this time? Seeing none, we will now move on to a period of individual bill debate on bill number 1. Are there any speakers on the floor at this time? The chair recognizes the delegate in the back.
Alex Wong, Hunterdon Central Delegation. Thank you, Sir Chair. In Section 2, I'm not sure where the funding for this advisory committee would come from, so I don't actually feel I can support this bill. But I do applaud the intent of the author. I yield the remaining of my time to the chair.
Are there any other speakers? The chair recognizes the delegate in the front. Thank you, delegate. Are there any other speakers on bill number 1 at this time? Seeing none, we'll now move on to the next bill in our bucket, bill number 2. I will now read the enactment clause. Be it enacted by the Youth Model Legislature of the State of New Jersey that nuclear arc incinerator technology be implemented in New Jersey waste management. Author, you've got 2 minutes for your opening statement. Thank you, author. Time for individual bill debate has elapsed, and that was our final bill number 4. We will now move on to a period of full bucket debate, which will begin with full bucket addresses from the authors. Authors, you'll be recognized for your 1-minute full bucket address, starting with the author of bill number 1.
Billy Daly, Cranford High School delegation. Thank you, Sir Chair. A number of concerns have been raised regarding the funding for my bill and many of the other bills that are being presented today. However, I would like to remind the committee that my bill does not seek to allocate more funding to the investment in green technology, but rather to take money from investors who are willing to purchase green energy credits and to use those as loans. The benefit of using loans is that the money will be returned with interest, which will actually pay for the committee. And now my bill would work very well in tangent with another bill that is being presented here today, Bill number 3. Because Bill number 3 generates revenue through the tax on carbon emissions, which would fund the short-term loss in revenue from the tax credits being provided to investor businesses. In addition, my bill would create an incentive for businesses that would possibly face a tax under Bill number 3 to convert to energy that is more sustainable and thus receive further subsidies. So through the conjunction of these two bills, we will not only be solving the issue of lack of funding, but also improving the environment. Thank you, Sir Chair.
Thank you, author. At this time, the chair will recognize the author of Bill number 2 for your opening remark. Thank you, authors. At this time, we'll move on to a full bucket debate in the speaker's list format. Is there a speaker on the floor at this time? The chair recognizes delegate in the back.
Greg Earl-Millis, High School Delegation. Thank you, Sir Chair. When you look at these bills, what do you see? It's the classic rhetoric about taxing and encouraging businesses to be green. However, this is not the same for Bill number 2. While the other bills use incentives and encouragement, Bill number 2 takes action. It works to fix a problem that must be fixed. In this great state, we cannot let something like nuclear waste endanger our citizens. Rather than hope for taxes and encouragement to be effective, we need to take action, and Bill number 2 assures that this problem will be fixed, while at the same time making a profit off of the excess slag. Therefore, I encourage all of you to vote highly for this bill so that it will advance into chamber. Thank you. I reserve the remainder of my time to the chair.
We'll now move to the author's closing remarks.
Matt LaFranz, Cranford High School Delegation. Thank you, Sir Chair. All of the bills presented are important in terms of their effect on the environment. However, my bill manages to deal with a major environmental and safety concern, while at the same time creating a new industry in terms of the sale of slag and syngas. Bill number 1 is a very good idea because it not only helps to reduce pollution, but it also establishes investment in a new industry. However, the only slight snag with Bill number 1 is that it requires investment into an unproven field. Bill number 3 also has some issues. It has issues with increasing taxes on businesses when New Jersey is already on the verge of economic collapse. New Jersey is also considered one of the worst states in terms of its business environment. Therefore, this bill will place an unfair burden on the businesses, while at the same time only compensating them minimally in order to change their ways. The problem with Bill number 4 is that it places an unfair burden on the producers of food. Not only is this unfair to the producers, but it's also unfair to the consumers. The cost of food will rise, and there is no compensation for the consumers of food. Therefore, the bills that should be considered are my bill, Bill number 2, which produces slag and syngas in order to pay for the high cost of plasma arc incinerators, and Bill number 1, which increases investment into a new field. I yield the remainder of my time to the chair.
Thank you, authors. We will now move on to a vote on this bucket. The college advisor will now pass out the ballots, and you choose 2 bills, at least 4 bills, to go through the chambers.